What are the criteria by which you're judging your terminal emulators?
It's got to be fast. That's why I don't use iTerm 2 anymore, because if you spend all day in a terminal, and specifically, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but specifically if you use ligatures, iTerm 2 becomes very slow because it's not GPU rendering that anymore. And so there's other terminals, specifically there's Kitty, Alacrity, and WesTerm that are fast. They're GPU accelerated and they work really well. And in the case of the one that I switched to, which is WesTerm, it's got a lot of nifty things that it just does by default out of the box. And I really like that. Specifically, one thing that I thought was awesome with Kitty that I didn't see with Alacrity was the ability to use one font, but not have to patch that font to add in nerd font, the nerd icons, because that's just an annoying process, you know? And so I wanted to be able to like have a different font for all of the nerd ones. And with Alacrity, last I checked, you couldn't do that. With Kitty, you can just set a symbol map for all UTF-8 symbols in this range, use this font, and then everything else use a different font. And you can do a similar thing in the settings of iTerm 2 as well. In WesTerm, the nerd fonts are just built in. So when you try and use those symbols, they just work. And you can install your own over it if you want, but by default, it will fall back to not just rendering like a blank square, it will render the font. And that's really awesome. So it just like takes some of that mental load of having to maintain that configuration out. And I really like that.
Okay, I'm going to ask the dumb question. What are nerd fonts?
I'm glad you asked. So a lot of times if you look at someone's like set up their Vim RC or their like Vim running or anything like that, and you'll see like the file drawer on the left side usually. And in the file drawer, you'll see things like a folder icon, and they might have several different versions. They might have like a folder icon and an open folder icon. And then if they're working in like a React project, all .tsx or JSX files might have the React symbol next to them. So these are like basic things that you'd expect in like, a GUI editor like VS Code. Well, we get that by placing a symbol right there and then using a special font that has been patched with these special characters to actually render that in the terminal so that we get all of that GUI goodness textually.